The biggest Honda car clearance in Rick Case history is on now.
Hi, this is Rick Case. I guarantee you in writing the lowest Honda car prices, or I'll give you the Honda car free.
But now, during this clearance, our prices are even lower. $49.95 for a brand new 82 Honda Civic. Sounds impossible, but all of our Hondas are clearance priced as we make room for our huge shipments of Hondas soon rolling in from Marysville and Ohio. 55-mile-per-gallon Hondas clearance priced, plus your last chance for 12.5% interest. Clearance now at Rick Case Honda, Cleveland and Akron.
Burger King presents The Late Show.
Now most of our drive-thrus are open way past midnight.
Aren't you hungry?
After the late shift.
Aren't you hungry?
After the late gig.
Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
Now most Burger King drive-thrus are open way past midnight.
Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
Oh, yeah.
We've been spying on you.
You took 37 minutes picking out that food.
Are you choosy for your family?
Sure, if I get what's good for them.
Peanut butter. What do you look for in a brand?
I want it to taste as much like peanuts as it can.
Let's try a test.
Okay.
With hidden labels, which of these leading brands taste more like fresh peanuts?
B. Tasted more like peanut.
You chose
Jif.
women with a preference choose Jif for fresh peanut taste.
Well, it was delicious.
Choosy mothers choose Jif.
WJKW-TV8, Cleveland.
Good evening, I'm Tana Carli.
I'm Tim Taylor. Thanks for joining us. Here's what's happening. A tension-filled drama unfolding near the Republic Steel plant here in Cleveland today. A bewildered man crawling out onto the old Clark Avenue Bridge. And NewsCenter 8's Gary Stromberg says it appeared that the man faced a certain death.
The old Clark Avenue Bridge closed to traffic. Part of it's been torn down. But early this morning, 59-year-old Irving Groudell crawled out on the bridge 100 feet above the Republic Steel plant and sat down on a ledge just 10 inches wide. Getting to the eastern end of this partially dismantled bridge was certainly no easy task. For the last 100 yards, the man had to make his way across exposed steel beams during a pouring rainstorm. Concerned workers from the steel plant called the fire department, and a hook and ladder unit was rushed to the scene. The ladder was fully extended, and firemen Gordon Tursky and Johnny Brewington set out after Groudell.
All he had to do was fall a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, and been a 100-foot drop.
Groudell was barefoot. He was cold and shaking, so the firemen put a coat around him and started to bring him down the ladder. A sudden movement by Groudell could have spelled tragedy.
His weight alone could have knocked both of us off at that height. Yeah, we would have been gone.
Groudell told the firemen he has been experiencing blackouts lately and has wound up in places without knowing how he got there. Groudell was treated at Charity Hospital for bruises on his feet and was then released.
He's a lucky man.
Gary Stromberg, NewsCenter 8, Cleveland.
The shooting death of 24-year-old Michael Woods was brought to the forefront again today, this time by Mayor Voinovich. Tana.
Well, Tim, the mayor stepped into the picture today because he's not satisfied with the first investigation. Woods was shot by an off-duty Cleveland policeman, Joe Pascovan, in his car nearly 2 weeks ago.
I want the community to know there is no whitewash, that this investigation is in full process, and we're going to leave no stone unturned. We're going to follow every lead.
Voinovich announced plans to name 8 people to a citizens committee to review the incident. Facts of the reinvestigation will be taken to the prosecutor and the grand jury. Meanwhile, it was brought out today that Michael Woods may not have been the owner of the gun found in his car on that fatal day. This young Cleveland man is in police custody tonight, charged with the murder of 2 elderly Southeast Side men in July. 18-year-old Darrell Bright was arrested at his East 108th Street home. Police say he took part in the brutal beating deaths of Frank Lazaro and Stanislaw Liss on Union Avenue. A third suspect is still being sought as the investigation continues. An investigation is underway in Akron tonight at the Goodyear tire testing track. 2 cars testing tires on the wet pavement of the track collided while weaving around pylons. 2 men were rushed to Akron City Hospital. Test driver Tony Giannini was treated and released, but test track manager Don Kowalczyk is still hospitalized. Both test cars were heavily damaged.
If you're a customer of East Ohio Gas, get set for another rate increase in about 30 days. Today, the PUCO granted East Ohio a $31 million increase, adding about $1.79 to the monthly bill of an average customer. East Ohio says the hike is less than half of what it asked for, and they'll ask for another hike in October. That increase was a sour note for many people, but at least one man entertaining the noontime crowd on the Chester Commons seemed oblivious to the recession and the first anniversary of Reaganomics. We asked Clevelanders today how the recession has affected them.
And ask anybody else to ask themselves sincerely, are they much better off now today than 2 years ago when Reagan was elected president of the United States?
I'm a young person and I'm married and we'd like to buy a house, and it's really difficult with the high interest rates to try and get anything together.
Geez, I'm paying more taxes than ever, that's all I know.
We should send Mr. Reagan back to Santa Barbara just as quick as we can.
These recessionary times are providing some pretty hard knocks for cities, too. A study by the Washington-based think tank Brookings Institution calls Cleveland one of the worst cities in the nation. NewsCenter 8 Stan Childers went in search of reasons why.
As for overall economic decline, the Brookings study called the city labeled this year as All-American among the worst 9. But without just crying foul, consider this. In the face of $750 million in downtown construction, 50,000 homes are now needed. A precious and plentiful water supply, but $200 million in improvements are now needed on the delivery system. Ranked 7th as an industrial center among Fortune 1000s, but unemployment at 10% higher for minorities, and the per capita income is $5,000 per year. Schools are on the verge of a new era and a new superintendent, but weak academically and badly in debt. Cleveland, the world's 5th strongest medical center, only now beginning to capitalize on that strength for growth and jobs. But the city is out of default, is back on the bond market, and has a more stable political climate. The Growth Association does not duck the criticism of the Brookings study, saying all older cities had those problems. President William Bryant says one important thing was overlooked.
Now that we do have significant plans for renewing our physical plant here in Cleveland, for example, the water plant, the sewer plant, the highways, the bridges, the public buildings, that, frankly, Brookings did not take in consideration. We didn't have those plans. And
that was Mayor George Voinovich's criticism also. He said the statistics used in the study don't measure the vitality of a community.